Imagine you've been on the trail for 2.5 years. You've been going down rivers, marching across plains, climbing mountains. Your equipment is almost gone. Your clothing is worn out. You've met hostile people along the way and friendly people, but you're almost home. You're less than a week away. The problem is you're completely out of food. That's exactly what happened to the Lewis and Clark expedition. They are almost back to St. Louis and they've completely run out of food. They have no food whatsoever. Let me read to you this journal entry. It's September 18th, 1806. Clark writes, "We took our leave and proceeded on past the Grand River at 7 a.m. A short distance below, we came up with our hunters. They had killed nothing. At 10 o'clock, we came to and gathered pawpaws to eat. We have nothing but a few biscuits to eat and are partly compelled to eat pawpaws, which we find in great quantities on the shores." And here he skips down. He says, "Our party entirely out of provisions, subsisting on pawpaws. The party appears perfectly contented and tell us they can live very well on pawpaws." They do this for several days. They gather pawpaws, they eat them. They're basically subsisting completely on pawpaws. And here's a pawpaw that we gathered recently. The interesting thing is that they ran out of food at this time. Pawpaws are only ripe and edible for about a week, max 10 days. So they ran on to this supply of pawpaws and in abundance as they went down these river bottoms where they were at, and enough that they could feed their entire party throughout this time period, which is pretty amazing that these were available just at the right time to feed these guys. So if you're unfamiliar with pawpaws, they are a fruit that grows here in the Midwest, Indiana, Kentucky, areas in Illinois and Missouri. They're a very interesting fruit. They're very fragrant and enjoyed by the wildlife. These again are only ripe for about a week or so. So it's just this time of year that Lewis and Clark needed this food, and we can try these out. They're an amazing little fruit. This one's actually a rather small one. They can grow fairly big, kind of grow in the understory of a forest or along the rivers. They don't like necessarily direct sunlight, but this is the perfect time to try out a pawpaw. They don't necessarily need a lot of cooking, so we can just eat one of these raw. You can see by the inside of these, they have a very interesting texture for fruit. These have a nickname, Indiana banana or custard apple, and you can see by the inside that it's very custardy-like consistency. And we can just go ahead and try a little bit of this raw. There it is. It's very smooth texture, very fruity, very sweet, and certainly edible without doing any kind of cooking on these whatsoever. A lot like a banana in that it's got that smooth, sweet texture to it. Very, very similar, and sort of amazing that they grow here in the Midwest. We don't have a lot of fruit like that that grows here that certainly has this sort of very tropical texture. You can see these have wonderful large seeds. You can use those to make necklaces out of. You definitely don't want to eat the seeds, but they're very easy to work around and such a great taste. Imagine Lewis and Clark, this is all they had there toward the end, at least for several days. A perfect stopgap food though. It certainly kept them from being too hungry so they could continue walking, going to get to their final destination. So interesting. This is what I love about researching history. You run onto an item like this forage food. This is almost exactly the same time of year. Lewis and Clark needed supplies. They didn't have anything to eat, and there they found pawpaws ready to go, ready to eat in the woods. Didn't need any kind of preparation whatsoever. They could just cut them open, eat them, and it would sustain them until they could get to more supplies. An amazing little bit of history. I just love pawpaws, and running onto them right here, it's so much fun. If you're interested in seeing how to cook a pawpaw, how you would use those in a period recipe, check out this video.